What's the scariest space fact mystery in your opinion? This visual, that either shows how slow light speed is or how vast space is, depending on which way you look at it. I've seen videos showing the scale of the universe before, but this one really hit home for some reason. The speed of light, the fastest speed possible, looks painfully slow when you look at it in the context of even a fraction of our solar system. We're stuck here, aren't we? This genuinely seems to trigger some people, so here's a warning, may cause existential dread. The Great Attractor, capital A, thing that affects the motion of galaxies for hundreds of millions of light years. The Boots Void, an area of space where there should be 50,000 or so galaxies, compared to other areas of the same size, but there's only about 60, could just be empty space for some unknown reason. Or it could be an ever-expanding intergalactic empire using Dyson spheres. Also, I think it appears to be growing, but that could just be galaxies moving away from the void. So it turns out it's 2000 and obviously it's not gonna be aliens, but the theory is still cool AF. Here's one closer to home. The Kessler effect is the theory that a single destructive event in low Earth orbit could create a cascade where satellites break up into tiny fragments, taking out other satellites, breaking up into smaller fragments, and so on, until the Earth is completely surrounded by a massive cloud of tiny flying death shrapnel, which would make leaving this planet almost impossible. If you look up how much space debris there is already up there and how many satellites currently orbit, plus the continued growth of the commercial space industry, I think about it a lot. Rogue planets. Planets that do not follow any given orbit. They may have been in an orbit at one time, but now they refuse to play by the rules. They were most likely knocked out of their orbit by another body, and now they are set on doing the same. The sheer distance between things. It's scary and somewhat depressing. Vacuum decay is one of the scariest concepts to me. We don't know if it exists, and we won't know until it's too late. Since the universe is expanding and stars and galaxies are moving away from each other, it's possible that civilizations that spring up in the far future with lonely stars will see an empty sky. Their civilizations will grow and learn, but they will never know the universe that once was. We live in a spectacular time period where we can actually look back in time and see the early universe. Future civilizations won't have that luxury. They'll believe that the universe is, and always was, dark, dead, and empty, aside from their small island of light. Ever gone on a road trip and hit a patch where you're just driving for hours and you don't see anything exciting? I've experienced this in Australia, Canada and USA, all very large countries. Imagine doing that for years traveling to another planet. There is literally no end to the universe. No matter how long we study it, there will always be stuff that we will never know just because of the vastness of space. I think everything is terrifying about space, and I ducking love it. But one thing it scare me a lot. It's if space is infinite. Imagine what kind of gigantic monster can be in there. What was before the Big Bang? I think it is just impossible for a human to comprehend pure nothing or infinity. I myself had a stroke at age 9 due to a ruptured vertebral artery and lost a third of my visual field. I can confirm that it is not black. A good analogy is it is like what you see behind your head. On the other hand, infinity is so large that if you spent your whole life writing a 1 and zeros on paper, that insane number would still be 0% of infinity. I just think there is no way to fully understand the universe, and there never will be. This is why even ancient societies explained things with gods, because they didn't understand how the reality we live in started, and I don't think we ever will. Gamma ray bursts. We could be hit by one of these with very little warning, and if it was reasonably close, in universal terms anyway, could wipe us out rapidly or cause a ton of damage. Dark matter, dark energy. The fact that about 95% of the universe is made up of matter we can't see or detect is pretty unsettling to think about. Also, while not a fact per se, I like to think that perhaps the answer to the Fermi paradox is that there are billions of advanced alien life forms out there, but they are physically unable to reach us due to technological limitations. Perhaps interstellar transport is only theoretical, and any aliens capable of reaching us are unable to do so in an acceptable length of time. Proxima Centauri may take 25 years for unmanned spacecraft to reach us, going 20% the speed of light. But perhaps it's impossible to transport actual life at these speeds without dying. So advanced civilizations have realized the futility of trying to contact other species and have simply given up. On the surface of Mars right now is a blur CD. God help us if aliens find that first. The Great Attractor is kinda ominous. There's an exoplanet with wind that's many times the speed of sound and that rains glass. Another exoplanet that has spent time inside its star. There's a sort of fear that we aren't alone in the universe. Chances are anything we meet won't have remotely similar emotional spectrums that we have. Then there's the horrifying notion that we are alone in that infinite blackness. That we're just a fluke of chemistry that will probably never happen again. Edit. More people have died on Earth than have died on the sun. Spook. Heat death. That one keeps me up at night. Not scary exactly. More unfortunate, if anything. But we'll probably never be able to properly communicate with alien species. Given the amount of distance between the planets of our solar system, I'd assume the distance to other universes and galaxies is too far to think about right now. If we receive and send a message right now, by the time we hear a reply back, we would probably be a completely different government and societal system. We would just be constantly introducing ourselves. It's bigger than anyone could ever hope to comprehend. 1. We are the only intelligent beings in the entire universe. 2. We aren't the only intelligent beings in the entire universe. Both are equally terrifying. Yet one of them is true. And we don't even know which one that is. The fact that an asteroid could come at any time. And even though we have the technology to tell us that an asteroid is about to impact Earth, what can we really do about it? Nothing. We can do nothing. We can just sit here, with the media stations telling us what will happen, telling our friends and loved ones goodbye, praying, etc. It sucks. Why do we have the technology that tells us our inevitable doom is days, or even moments, away but no technology to possibly stop it? Edit. Words. It's quite possible, likely even, that we'll never leave this solar system, because even getting up to a modest fraction of the speed of light, travel elsewhere just takes too damn long. Pretty much all science fiction handwavs this with jump drives and so on. But any kind of device like that would violate causality and is fairly unlikely to be possible. Strange matter. It might not exist at all, but some scientists believe it's what's inside neutron stars. If this is true, neutron stars can collide and send strange matter particles flying through space. It's also theorized that strange matter might turn everything it touches into strange matter. If that's true, any microscopic amount of strange matter that touches our atmosphere would quickly turn Earth and everything on it into strange matter, destroying all life and nearly every remnant of civilization. And there wouldn't be a damn thing we could do about it. Again, this is all theoretical. Strange matter might not have such a massive effect, and indeed it might not exist at all. But there is a non-zero chance that an undetectable, microscopic particle is flying toward Earth ready to eradicate everyone and everything. A fact from a show I used to like. The main problem is pressure. There isn't any. So, don't hold your breath or your lungs will explode. Blood vessels rupture. Exposed areas swell. Fun fact. The boiling temperature of water is much lower in a vacuum, which means that your sweat and your saliva will boil, as will the fluid around your eyes. You won't notice any of this because 15 seconds in, you've passed out as oxygen bubbles formed in your blood, and 90 seconds in, you're dead. Edit. It's Doctor Who. The show is Doctor Who. Why am I reading this thread? It's scary and depressing, haha. Getting sucked into a black hole literally turns you into spaghetti. Perhaps this isn't very fitting, as I don't think it's necessarily scary, but ignore the multiverse theory. For those who don't, it essentially says that there's a whole bunch of universes, some similar, some different. If there's something that should exist on Earth but doesn't, then it exists in an alternate universe. Spider-Man is real, in an old universe, etc. But if the universe is infinite, then wouldn't everything possible happen within this infinite time-space? Is the universe itself the multiverse? What if there's another Earth way far out there that's entirely made of Legos, with Lego people? And if the universe is a multiverse, then is science as we know it unreliable outside of our immediate area? Do physics work completely differently further out? Work by different formulas? What if there's living creatures out there that don't have a single cell in their bodies? Things that exist without a single atom? I mean, aren't black holes themselves kinda that already? Who says reality as we know it applies to the entire universe? What if Thanos is actually real somewhere way out there? What if dreams are just somehow seeing alternate worlds? What if that King Kong sized Buzz Lightyear that kidnapped me in a nightmare I had when I was really young actually exists? Again, maybe not super scary, but I felt it was at least somewhat relevant. A few people have said this, but just the size of space is creepy to me. That far away. But what almost oppresses me more that unlike in Stargate I will never be able to travel to any of it. Would love to see what's out there. If you were to instantly take off your spacesuit while floating in space, the side of your body facing the sun would cook while the other would freeze. Everything in just under a couple of seconds. Space is big. More than people can easily grasp. I absolutely believe other intelligent life exists. I absolutely believe Earth-like planets with orbits in their star's habitable zone and liquid water exist. And I absolutely believe that with enough time humanity will confirm the existence of both. I also believe manned spacecraft will never leave our solar system. The time and energy required just to reach orbit is massive. The resources necessary to keep a person alive in space are huge. Landing people on Mars is already viewed as a one-way trip. And at its nearest pass it's roughly 34 million miles from Earth. Voyager 1 has been traveling for 42 years and 9 months. It is just shy of 150 or astronomical units, or mean distance of the Earth from the Sun, from home, or nearly 14 billion miles. It is just past the heliosphere of our Sun, or the point at which the Sun's solar wind no longer exerts enough influence to cast a bubble in the background interstellar radiation. This is considered interstellar space. As a frame of reference, the next star over Proxima Centauri is 268,770 or from our Sun, or 25 trillion miles, unless some kind of Einstein-Rosen bridge type of wormhole exists that we can travel. We're not going anywhere. The universe is expanding quicker than light speed, so galaxies at the edge of our current visible universe will disappear. Eventually everything will move out of our visible universe and the sky will be starless. The fact that a city-killing asteroid can slip through our detection systems and kill millions at any moment. The coldest place in the universe is not the Boomerang Nebula, or even in space. No, it's the inside of a D-wave quantum computer, at 15 MK. That the Milky Way galaxy has an estimated 10 million black holes. Aliens 65 million light years away could theoretically see the dinosaurs on Earth with a microscope advanced enough. There's a region of space where the ever-present cosmic radiation from the Big Bang is missing. The radiation is everywhere in space except this area. There's none. There could be life, but not in the way we think. Like a virus that our immune system simply can't take and we can't cure or make a vaccine for. This was actually thought of before. When the crew from Apollo 11 came back from the moon, they were quarantined for 3 weeks just in case they did have some kind of space virus. That the Earth is way overdue for a civilizational life-ending event. Meteors and asteroids didn't just stop hitting Earth. Will it happen in my lifetime, my kids' or my grandkids' lifetimes, or 1,000 years from now? Humans have only been here for a minute amount of time over the course of Earth's complete history, and many things have happened to completely wipe out almost all life as we know it. That we might actually be alone in the universe, or they're made of meat, short story. There was a star 20,000 light years away that put out a burst of energy in 2/5 of a second that was more energy than our own sun produces in 100,000 years. It was enough to disrupt satellite and GPS signals. If that star was only half the distance away at 10,000 light years, it would have stripped the Earth of its atmosphere and irradiated the Earth enough to destroy all life. The time-gravity relationship. It freaks me out. The Boltzmann Brain. The most likely ending to our universe will be all stars and black holes exploding, and eventually the universe becomes a completely even soup of neutrons for all eternity. In this theory, the Big Bang was actually a cosmic coincidence, in which enough of those neutrons, literally every neutron that currently exists, collided in the even soup of a past universe. This collision caused the Big Bang to occur, thrusting into motion the energies that run our current universe. Such an occurrence in the soup of infinite neutrons is incredibly unlikely. What instead is far more likely is that just enough neutrons came together in the exact right way as to create a literal floating brain in the infinite soup that has all of your memories and experiences up to the current moment. Statistically speaking, it is unfathomably more likely that nothing you've ever perceived exists and instead you are merely a floating brain in an endless expanse of nothing, doomed to return to the soup from whence you came, none the wiser. There is a section of ocean where the closest help at any time is 250-ish miles straight up, on the ice. There's a exoplanet where it is so hot that it rains iron. Humans exist within a time frame of Earth's life where the moon is just at the right distance that we have solar and lunar eclipses the way we do now. The coincidence is just a little too uncanny for my tastes, but it also shows how things can just majestically turn out the way they do out of pure chance. How fast some stars rotate. You'd think that something so big couldn't spin so fast. Millisecond pulsars. Nothing is forever, not me, not the earth, not the sun, not our galaxy, and not the universe. One time there will be nothing and no one. That thought makes me feel useless and scared, but it calms me down when I'm stressed. The fact that when you look at the sun you see it as it was 8 minutes ago. Meaning if it were to explode we wouldn't see it explode until 8 minutes because that is the amount of time it takes for the light of the sun to reach Earth. Thank you Jaff for reigniting my interest for space. Space is composed entirely of cheese whiz, but they won't admit it. They paint the sky black at night to keep us all fooled. I have anxiety from reading all these comments. You know those classic utopian sci-fi stories, where benevolent aliens come down and end all the wars and uplift them to super intellects and give everyone miraculous technology and immortality and welcome them into a peaceful galactic union and everything. Ever wonder why, if aliens are roaming around faster than light, they haven't swung by us yet? One of the answers to that question, we might be the first, depending on how long it takes life to develop. We might be the first to evolve to a point where we could plausibly make that happen without nuking ourselves into oblivion or destroying our atmosphere or what have you. It might be up to us, whether we make it or not as an interstellar species. We have the responsibility of getting our it together, because it may well be up to us to save everyone else. Uncountable genocides, wars, famines, death on a scale larger than our species have ever understood. Literally the fate of the universe might depend on us. I look around at us now, and that's what scares me. False vacuum. Summed up, the universe can at any point cease to exist. We wouldn't witness even a trillionth of a second of the event. It would just happen. One day the sun will burn out. Gamma ray bursters. One burst can wipe out all life in a 3000 light-year radius. And we don't know if there's a candidate star or not within that distance. Pale blue dot. An image of Earth taken by the Voyager 1 space probe from a distance of 6 billion kilometers. Seeing the whole world on Earth as unimportant in comparison to the ghastly vastness of the universe is scary. On the other hand, it is the most exciting thing about it. Gives a whole new perspective on life. We don't know much about what's happening. Why should we? Check out Carl Sagan's pale blue dot speech. Someday, all the hydrogen will burn out, trillions of years in the future, and there will be no activity or energy and everything will be so far apart that it will just be a cold dark wasteland with no life or light. A few years ago, a neutron star experienced a starquake, and for a brief moment, a crack formed in the star's ultra-dense outer shell, releasing a terrifying amount of energy. Even though the neutron star was thousands of light years away, the burst of mostly gamma rays traveled across the galaxy to damage the very satellites we sent up to detect neutron stars, which wasn't something scientists thought could happen. If something similar happened to a neutron star within 1200 light years of Earth, it could fry off the atmosphere of the planet. Luckily the closest neutron star of that magnitude is over 60,000 light years away. The notion that if there is other intelligent life in the universe, it might be in their best interest to annihilate any life they find, and ours, even if we haven't realized it yet. There could be 40 billion Earth-like planets, more than all of us in the world to have one, but we won't own a planet. I'm not sure I have it exactly right, but here goes. The observable universe has been expanding away from us at the speed of light. So even if we invented a light speed craft, we couldn't escape the space we have already seen. The concept of time just ducks with me too much. We perceive that everything has a beginning, but there was no beginning for time. It just is. One day we decided to start counting, but there was no beginning, because how can there be the beginning of time? If you say there is a beginning, what was there before? There has to be something. There are 4 main forces that govern pretty much everything in the universe. The string nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, electromagnetism, and gravity. Of these, gravity is by far, like, several orders of magnitude, the weakest of the 4. On a scale of 1-10, gravity would be around 0.001. I'm fuzzy on the actual math, but it's basically a kitten versus 3 adult tigers. Now, go outside at night and look into the sky. You're not looking up. Not really. You're looking into infinity through a super thin skin around a rock. All of those stars you see are gigantic furnaces of electromagnetic and nuclear power. And the only thing keeping you from falling off this spinning ball of dirt and into that infinity forever is gravity. The fact that we are so insanely small and vulnerable, and that literally any time we can get killed. The mere concept of a black hole spooks me out. An infinitely small object with a gravitational presence larger than some stars. That alters space and time and simply erases anything that gets too close. The gravitational lensing of the light from stars behind seems supernatural when you see it. But even worse, we owe our galaxy to them, since there is a supermassive black hole, scary name, at the center of ours. Just graduated with my astronomy degree this past May. One of my largest existential crises came from my teacher doing the math to show how slow we are compared to how giant the universe is. I bad if this is wrong, but the Falcon 9 goes 24,000 mph and the closest galaxy is Andromeda at 1.49 x 10 circumflex 19 miles away. At this rate, going at full speed on our most advanced rocket, it would take 6.2 x 10 circumflex 14 hours, like 68 billion years LMAO. Cool thing though is once we can find an efficient enough energy source and are able to go 70% the speed of light, the speed where time dilation and length contraction start to occur in special relativity, we'd easily able to travel to other galaxies and it. But as of right now at 24,000 miles per hour, that's only 0.003% the speed of light. LMAO. Nowhere close to the 70% we would need to use special relativity to do any actual galactic traveling. TLDR, space is ducking big and it would take over 68 billion years to get to our closest galaxy neighbor if we were flying full speed on a Falcon 9. In space, no one can hear you scream.